I have to show it every, he just wants to find me.
Yes, he does.
Yeah. I lose sleep over that every Thursday night.
He is good at it.
No, I wake up Thursday night in the middle of the night, but did I put my pen out there?
Calling Ben a nightmare?
He's been called worse.
One day I wrote it up just to see. Okay, I'm just gonna briefly just read, Dawn is speaking today on identity theft. As a victim herself, Dawn is passionate about helping to protect individuals from identity theft. She is a manager representing a national company that protects and advocates for individuals in the case of identity theft. As a former professor in the San Mateo Community College District for over 20 years, she enjoys sharing her wealth of knowledge with others. She is also a Bay Area business owner, speaker, and community advocate, and also a very dear and good friend of mine. So let's give her a warm welcome.
Oh, thank you everybody for being so warm and friendly this morning. It always helps when a stranger kind of walks into the room. Thank you, Dr. Mike, and especially Tina Marie for inviting me today. I'm going to talk about, I'm Dawn Sunday, by the way. I'm going to talk about a topic that we all want to avoid. So the least, most favorite conversation topics that we might have this morning. Maybe the first one is your most recent proctology appointment or your mammogram. Mine, in great fear, is taxes. And we're having to face that right now.
But that means you're making money, so.
If you're making money. And then the third is identity theft. And unfortunately, my printer was hacked into and it wouldn't even function yesterday. So I've had to give you a piece of paper to take notes this morning. And then Mike will also be kind enough to send some of the information on. The top American fears. What do you think number one is?
Speaking taxes.
Corrupt government officials.
I think that's
Amen. Terrorism. And of course, my topic today is identity theft. We're looking at a time commitment situation. I would say mammograms, proctology appointments, 1 to 2 hours, right? Doing our taxes, 8 hours. Me, probably 15, because I procrastinate and don't want to deal with it. And the last is, I love when computers do these things. Excuse me. She's gonna not.
Mike, help her.
There we go.
Got it.
Good job, Mike.
You said done. And the last is, it is a normal, it takes 600 hours to restore your identity if it is stolen. And that's phenomenal. So if I could just briefly tell what happened to me. I'm in Hawaii. I am looking forward to a week's vacation. And I get a call from my bank that said, your account has been compromised. And so I'm having this conversation with the person and I say, well, stop the bleeding, do whatever it takes. This is ridiculous, right? And so what pursued was they said, well, now you need to go down to your branch and take care of it. And I said, I'm in Hawaii, there is no Wells Fargo branch. Then she goes, then there's nothing you can do until you get home.
Oh, wow.
And so you can imagine the rest of my vacation was absolutely devastated. I'm spending the next few days calling my personal banker, calling these various people, saying, stop the bleeding. And finally at the end of it, $8,000 was taken out of my checking account. And it took me 6 months of fighting with this lovely bank to help me figure out what happened and what can be done. And so that just gave me the passion to get involved and learn some more information about identity theft. Every minute, 19 people's identity is stolen. By the time I finish this talk, it's going to be 380 people's identity will be taken. And the more I talk on this topic, the more people have stories. And there were stories of what people are going through in their businesses and their personal lives because of this issue. The Washington State Attorney General's website states, identity theft is a serious crime that occurs when your personal information is stolen without your knowledge to commit crimes and fraud, and it impacts your financial security. They can ruin your good name, steal your medical history, and take away your sense of safety and misuse the images of you. It goes on to declare the average victim spends about 600 hours trying to restore. So this is in a lot of the different states' websites. So today we're going to talk about 11 issues, and there is so much more. This topic is huge and it is deep. I have some information on several websites that you can go to that have been established because it is such a hot topic. Every state, our government, our IRS, the Department of Justice, and then several other companies are out there fighting on our behalf to educate us on what is happening. The first one I want to talk about is credit card fraud, or credit fraud in general. And credit cards actually, about 17% of identity theft is credit cards. But the one factor is that credit cards do at least have some protections. It is changing, so, you know, pay attention out there. Right now, the average credit card is probably protected $50, and that's all it's going to cost you. But there are those protections. But what isn't protected is your debit card. And so because the debit card and your money comes immediately out of your account, I actually encourage you to use a credit card because of the protections. I was expecting that $8,000 to be available to me in Hawaii with my debit card, and it was not. So what we should do is get a free annual credit report. Every single year you're entitled to it free. Just go to annualcreditreport.com. And we have 3 credit bureaus. We have Experian, we have TransUnion, and we have Equifax. The interesting part is what most people don't know with this free credit report is you can get it every 4 months. So go into Experian and do one, go into Equifax and get one. They all differ. If you've ever pulled it, you've differed it. I found out that I lived at 407 Mill Street in, Enterprise, Oregon. So these are little subtle things because your reports are many, many pages, and you really need to scrutinize them. And then avoid apps, different credit card apps on your phone, and we'll discuss that. So the next area is Social Security fraud. When somebody gets a hold of your Social Security number, they can do unmeasurable damage, and that's usually when the 600 hours is involved in trying to restore it because they've got a hold of that one component. So be very, very careful when companies are asking for your Social Security number, asking why. What a lot of people do is, hey, we're going to give you 20% at Macy's today on all of your purchases if you take out our credit card. And so you walk up to the stranger and said, I want to save that 20%, I'm buying furniture today. And you hand this person your name, address, phone number, Social Security number, total stranger, right? And usually it's on a piece of paper. Guess what? They keep that, or they might take a picture of it on the phone. And there you are, you have completely opened up your entire life to these people, and we'll go over some of the stories. So please don't keep anything to do with Social Security numbers in your wallet. Most people don't even pay attention that their Medicare cards have their social security number as the key number. So I make a copy of my Medicare card, I cross out that number, and then if they need it for medical or whatever I need to give it to, then it's not in my wallet if I was to lose it. One other area of the Social Security that people aren't aware of is children. You take out a, what, $529 for them when they're born, and you got an educational fund headed out, and you might not look at their Social Security number until they are 16, going for a work permit or something. They are the most vulnerable right now because those are open credit Social Security numbers that they have had compromised and sold across the board in the black market. So, number 3, driver's license. They're being sold at a huge volume. It is so easy to copy it in there's sweat rooms going on all around the world. It's called the black market. It is now controlled by organized crime because this type of making money is much better than getting into the drug industry. So it can be sold to somebody that looks just like you, and that driver's license opens up the door for all kinds of illegal aliens to use and various other kinds of things. So you can go to the DMV and request your annual driver's license. There's a small fee, but you can find out if you've ever been compromised with someone else using your license. Medical fraud, this is huge. We just had a conversation with Skip with his daughter. This is the area that our information is the least protected right now. So for example, they have all of your credit cards, they have your banking statements, they have all this information in your medical records, and a lot of your doctor's offices don't have some of the vehicles to protect them as your credit card companies do. So somebody could use your medical record, okay, have a procedure done, or use your $1 million cap that you might have on your benefits. They might have diabetes or a different blood type, and you go into an emergency and these information is mixed. And this is real, and it is happening in the medical provider. So be very, very careful with your cards, with your information. Find out from your medical provider what they do to safeguard your information. The minute you get the claims, I'm with Kaiser. Once a month, Kaiser mails me a statement. Make sure that those medications are your medications. Make sure that the visits are your visits. And I don't know if all insurance companies are doing that. Do a lot of you get monthly statements of who you visited and who you saw and what you did? So go ahead and take a look at those. And of course, this is huge, this tax fraud. 2012, $20 billion of people's tax returns were taken by someone else. And they file early.
Thank you.
They get, all they need is your Social Security number. And they can get your tax return, because what are we doing now? We're e-filing, we're e-billing, we're e-ticketing. All of this information is out on the web. If you call an airline and you can't find your reservation, you can give them your credit card number and they can find your reservation for you. That easy. So it's out there. Your information is out there. And I want to get my own tax refund. So obviously, make sure that you file early or have some safeguards with your accountant. Phone scams. Anybody received a phone call?
Oh, yeah. All day, all night.
Okay, well, we're getting a little smarter. We're getting a lot more education out there in the media. But people are still panicking, especially when the IRS calls and says that you owe money, and then they're going to extort your first child and whatever it may be. But people are still giving out this information. They're giving credit cards and debit cards to pay off this bill because they don't want to have any problem with all the penalties that the IRS can do. If they leave a message that it's urgent, it's not urgent. And actually, the IRS is, if you've got a return number that you can return, the IRS is actually collecting this information. Passport theft. Your passport's worth about $50,000 on the market. And all they need to do, these people are clever, they take your picture off and put their picture on. Now, if you have a brand new one, it is being chipped. Because now you get to do all of your own work, just like pumping your gas, you now get to do some of your passport work at some of the airports. So what I do recommend is they have what's called an RFID reader, because anything that has a strip or a chip or whatever is now able for somebody that has a skimming machine across the room, and they can pick up the information off of your credit card. The other one that people don't realize is when you check into a hotel, all of your credit card information, address is on that strip. I do not return my card back to a hotel because I don't want that information to be available for someone else. But you have something called an RDFI reader. They come in wallets, they come in other things. Make sure they've now got one for passports. Make sure that you have your passport in one of these protectors as well as your credit cards and anything with a strip. Yes?
What strip was that? The one you're talking about right now for passports? You say there's a plastic thing you carry, a card?
There's this one actually, it's just kind of part of my business card. You can put your credit cards, I keep like 3 credit cards in each one of these. It's a coating inside where you can't read it. Remember like the old lead for your film? You know, at airports and things like that. So it's doing it again. Uh-oh, now it's free. Oh, I'm just blocking. So be very, very careful. Make a copy of your passport when you're traveling. Put your real passport in the safe, because you might, need it for identification at a bank or an money exchange. But do not carry it with you, and guard it with your life, because it really has.
That's a good point. When we were in Italy, to exchange money, you needed a passport.
Right.
And none of us carried it with us.
Right.
But luckily, my future son-in-law, he took a picture of it, and they were able to use that.
Right.
on his
So
phone.
just take a copy of it, but keep your physical passport itself, because it's worth a tremendous amount of money.
When you
Leave
say in
it.
the safe, you mean the safe at the hotel?
The
Yes.
safe at the hotel, even if your room doesn't have a safe, every hotel has their own safe that I keep my valuables in. I've been in the travel industry for about 4 decades, and I can tell you massive amount of stories about what has happened to me in traveling. Next, one thing I loved as a child, I loved my fishing pole, and I loved putting bait on my ring and getting a trout or even getting a salmon. I mean, it was just so exciting. And so I love fishing, and I love going to New Zealand and doing fishing as well. But I'm going to talk about a different kind of fishing. And right now, emails is just huge, and it looks official. It looks like it comes from your bank. It looks like it comes from Yahoo. It looks like it comes from some important entity, just asking you to update your accounts and your information. And again, you have no idea how many million people have fallen for this. So they're out there in phone calls, they're out there in websites, they're out there any way that they can to glean some information from you. So even if it looks official, don't open it up, because also what's in there is a malware that gets into your computers and then seeks out all kinds of information. In December, Yahoo was compromised with a breach. 1 billion people are affected by Yahoo. So it's just kind of being aware of what's there. Your criminal character, somebody could do a crime in your name, drugs, all kinds of things in your name with your identification. And it's ruined your credit. I mean, you could be stopped for a taillight out on your car, and next thing they know, you're being cuffed because you didn't show up for a court appearance, okay? Or you have a whole bunch of warrants on your, and it does happen, and it's more often than ever. But the Department of Justice has a website, so I've got all these different entities and peoples and Department of Justice and IRSs and and consumer ID thefts and annual reports on something that Mike is going to email to all of you, because it's really important to take a look at it, because these people are fighting for us, but it's a cancer. It's a huge disease that is out there, and we need to really just kind of think about these things. Lost wallet assistance. All right, tell me your 800 number and what your numbers on your credit cards is your wallet right this minute. What do you have in your wallet?
Everything.
Yeah, everything. So a couple of months ago, the contents of my wallet disappeared. I'm going, oh no, and I'm panicking. I'm thinking, oh my gosh, what was in there? How much money did I have in there? What am I going to do? And then all of a sudden, I went, oh, what am I worried about? Because the company I work for has lost wallet protection. And so I made one phone call. They were able to assist me, and all my worries were taken away. So just be very careful in advance on the back of your credit cards or any card that you have that you carry around with you. Write down the 800 number and then leave it at home with somebody you safe. If you're traveling, leave it with somebody that you trust, that if it happens while you are traveling, that you can at least, I took a group to Israel a while back, and they soon started calling me Mother Superior because I took their passports away from them. I took all kinds of things because I know what people do when they travel. And I said, we're at a spot now, there's massive amount of pickpocketers. All I want you to do is have, 30 shekels here and 30 shekels here and one credit card. But they didn't listen to Mother Superior that morning. And they had in their fanny pack, they thought they had this secure wallet. And I said, they're good. They're really, really good on their pickpocketing. And of course, I had to spend the rest of the afternoon helping her restore what was in, stopping all the credit cards, calling back to the United States to find out, from her husband what was there. And security breaches. We've heard about Target, we've heard about Home Depot. But at this moment, starting in 2005, there has been 888,653,000 breaches of your information, like the Yahoo one. But recently, JP Morgan Chase was hit, and that's when it really concerned me. We knew that the retail people were lax. They have kind of minimal securities. But when a bank gets hit, that's really scary. And we're hearing this more and more and more. And with my experience where my bank didn't help me, I had to do the investigation process. It was really quite scary. So change your passwords, listen to the announcements of the different companies. If your company that you know that you have something with, just make sure that you. So let's talk about some pro strategies. Don't do any transactions. I know the TV says take a picture of your check and send it off to the bank while you're doing ballet. Remember that one? And all these wonderful advertising it is to be able to get your company. But it's unsecure. If you're at Starbucks, it's unsecure. So don't do anything sensitive. Don't open certain emails. Don't open certain things or, order something on Amazon because you are physically completely unprotected. Okay, make sure that it has a password that you have to sign into. Secure your mail. I'm now the advocate to make sure that you get a mail slot inside your home. We got so, our postmen are wonderful, and they would pick up our mail for us, and we'd pay our bills, and there's your PG&E bill, connected to the outside of your box for them to pick up. What's in there? Your check. So they can steal your account number, they can steal your routing number, and that's what happened to me. They went online, created a document, a Word document, with a fake company that they didn't even spell the name correctly. They had a computer signature, issued a whole bunch of checks to these people. They were told to go over the border in Texas, over into Mexico, to a Walmart where there's no trace to come back. Luckily, one person didn't listen to them, thank God, and cashed the check in Lubbock, and that was the only way I knew where all the funds went. So, I get one of these every single day. pre-approved credit card. All somebody needs to do is take this out of your mail from the postman just arriving, and they could have a heyday. They could go for a week and they could get 6 or 7 of these out of my mailbox alone. So be very careful, shred those. Make sure you shred these documents, the checks that you get from your credit card companies, make sure you shred these. We're dumpster diving, okay? Be careful with social media. All of your security questions are, right there. You're telling about your mother's maiden name, what your birthday is, what your pet's name is. We love to share, but we really have to be careful. So the most important thing that I really would like to talk about is where I have the security myself personally is the company I work for, which is called Legal Shield ID Shield. And you can spend the 600 hours. You can spend hours and hours and hours on this. You can spend hours on the exposés that are on television. There is YouTubes after YouTubes. I hope I have time to share what they just did on Dateline. It's unbelievable what Dateline learned on an expo they just did. So what we offer is monitoring service. Our company has a $5 million guarantee, and whatever it takes, as long as it takes, they spend the 600 hours so you can be out on this golf course, or you can be out enjoying one another's company. So this was not a scare tactic. Again, it's a topic I don't want to talk to, but it's really a very, very, very serious topic. And again, we've got these are just a few of the resources that you can go to. The IRS, our government is trying to deal with this problem, but I think it's bigger than what we have. So, thank you.
And Dawn, you have a prize for us?
Oh, I do. I just have a little door prize. It's an RFID wallet that I would like to have one lucky person be able to take home today.
Okay. Thank you, Dawn.
All right. Thank you.